All right, Wes. Anthony Davis to me is my take from the opening week, and here's why. I think Anthony Davis's opening night performance is the most important and impressive single game performance we have seen this week. 38 minutes, 36 points, 13 of 15 from the line, which to me is the biggest indicator of how good he was with how aggressive he was. 16 boards, 3 blocks, 1 turnover. Davis, according to the stat head, only took this many shots in a game 7 times all of last season. To me, coming off of Team USA, and it's something he hinted at in his postgame quotes as well, looked really lean and was ready to go and in great shape after I thought he looked a little bit bulkier at times the last couple of years. Wes, I think this AD, aggressive, dominant on defense, dictating the flow in a game in this JJ Redick era, is a version of AD that can elevate the Lakers this year. Is this team now a title team? I don't think so. But can this kind of AD help this team hit the upper echelon, hit the best outcomes that are possible for this team this year and make them harder out? I think this version of AD can be that kind of a difference maker. And I was just so impressed by how he looked against the Wolves.
So if I could push back on your take, right?
Uh-oh.
You're telling me that Anthony Davis's performance is the most important performance from the opening week. And then in the same time, you're saying, well, it's not going to make them a championship contender. So I guess my question to you would be then, who cares?
Sure. That's fair. That's entirely fair.
I would actually argue that it does. Like, if you're getting this, Anthony, like the Lakers look great in that game. I think we are looking at a team that could compete in the West. I think the Western Conference is so good. I also don't think that there's one team in the West that has a stranglehold on the conference that the way that the Celtics do in the East. I think the West is really good. I think that West is also wide open. And I think both of those things could be true at the same time. I think the Lakers are in the mix, man. You've got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Why wouldn't you be in the mix? To me, it was weirder that they were not in the mix than when they were in the mix. This is a team that 2 years ago was in the Western Conference Finals when they were basically playing this lineup. And when you were getting an engaged Anthony Davis and LeBron James in that playoff run. I think what JJ Redick is doing with Anthony Davis is very smart. I think putting him in the triple threat spot, letting him be the hub of the offense. He's an underrated passer and has been for a long time. Last year, Darvin Ham basically used Anthony Davis as just a roller, a finisher. 60% of Anthony Davis's field goal attempts came as a finisher in the pick and roll. That's typical for a guy who is dominant in the pick and roll like Anthony Davis, but I felt like he never really explored the other fringe parts of his game. And that was always the thing missing with the Lakers under Darvin Ham. It was so basic. It was so vanilla, paint by numbers, run the pick and roll. Other teams figured it out, and it just felt like every time down the court you knew exactly what was going to happen. With JJ Redick, he's finding ways to tap into other parts of everybody's game, not just Anthony Davis, but watching Rui Hachimura in that opening game was pretty revelatory. I think the way that he's even using a rookie like Dalton Connect, using Austin Reeves and leaning into what it is that Reeves does well as a playmaker, finding ways to get D'Angelo Russell off the ball and lean into his shooting ability, which kind of is marginalized by the fact that he just dribbles the air out of the ball more plays than not. But yeah, I think, Redick, say what you will about the hire or his polarizing personality, I don't think there's any question he's already done a better job at coaching this team than Darvin Ham ever did. This team looks bought in, and Anthony Davis looks energized. And if you're getting that, plus a healthy LeBron season, plus maximizing some of these role players and a little bit more health from the supporting cast, why not? Why shouldn't we talk about the Lakers as a threat to come out of the Western Conference?
I did not want to overreact to one game in that sense. That's really where I'm sort of hedging. I want to see how this sustains over 10 games and like how LeBron looks, how some of the role guys ultimately look, and how frankly Redick coaches. He did all the basic stuff that he hit from day one are the singles we needed to see him hit. I don't know if you saw that clip of him. A lot of Lakers fans on Reddit and X West were posting a clip of him talking in the huddle. And then they were like, a lot of people are then like responding with Darvin Ham in a similar mic'd up situation last year. And like, they were two very different approaches. JJ's, the point with the people were trying to make was that it was more detailed. It was more focused. It was like actual coaching. And then Darvin Ham's was not quite that. That was sort of the
what's so funny about that
there?
stuff too, and I'm not going to doubt like what that investigative reporting yielded, but what's so funny about those sideline clips is that the PR staff for the team actually has to sign off
Approve
on
them.
those
Yes.
before their broadcast. And I do wonder if JJ Redick has told the Lakers PR staff explicitly, hey, grab all the coolest stuff that I'm saying, like the most X's O's nerdy stuff, coaching stuff,
Is
and
it,
make sure
it
you
does
post that
it
because that's part of my brand.
Yeah, if this sounded like it could have been on Mind the Game or Old Man in the
Right.
Three, then
Hey,
we get to
PR
post
staff,
it in
if
the
you don't
socials.
understand what I'm talking about, if it's not more about like, hey, good effort out there, if you don't
Play
understand
hard.
what I'm saying, post that one.
Yeah, no, I could absolutely see that, and that you know what, honestly, that's just good communications work if that's the case.
Sure.
But like AD, I will say this to elevate my take a little bit, Wes, because you're pushing me, and
Yeah,
I
no,
think that's good.
because the way you presented it for the record is like an
I
if-then statement, right?
yes,
I'm
did.
with you. I don't
I
want to
caught.
overreact and
Yeah,
just vault the Lakers into the top of the Western Conference. That's not what I'm doing. But if Anthony Davis is playing like this, then yeah, then the Lakers, of
it,
course, they're part of that conversation.
Anthony Davis can be All NBA and a Defensive Player of the Year candidate if he plays like this consistently.
Mm-hmm.
That is a guy that he's that good where he can make them a top 5 seed in the West. And like, Lord, if things break the right way, I think that opens a door that I didn't really think was there for them. I'd kind of written off the Lakers, West, in a lot of ways, just because I
Surprising
think so.
from you,
Well,
Team LeBron.
I am Team LeBron, but it's like LeBron's age, first year head coach. I don't know if I believe in a lot. Like, I still think that they have to figure out a D'Lo trade at some point. I just believe that is a necessity if they're going to maximize this season. AD, it just can come and go a little bit with him. And I think so highly of the upper echelon of the West. It's just like I look at the Nuggets and their track record the last couple of years of just beating the Lakers, frankly. You look at the Wolves even after the cat trade. You look at the Thunder and all these other teams. It's just such an uphill battle in that conference. But if AD plays like this and I think adds to it, LeBron actually can take this long, wondered if he would ever do it or could do it, step back where there's less of a burden on him throughout the regular season. If that unlocks that and then he has more energy later, that opens up some doors that I'm quite interested to see what the payoff is.
Yeah, you know what? We've heard about this so long. Like every year, it feels like LeBron is talking about this is the year I take a step back. This is the year I cede a lot of the playmaking.
Did he say
and
that in
offensive
Miami?
responsibilities?
Did he talk
No,
about that in Miami? Because he
no,
talked it
more.
like
It
like
was more of a
Cleveland,
late. Yeah, it was more of Cleveland when Kyrie was there,
and that was
then it went away.
politicking. Yeah,
And
that was
then
like
it was-
politicking to keep Kerry happy, though. I think,
But it
that wasn't like real.
like the last 3 years with Anthony Davis. It's all been, hey, I want to give Anthony Davis more of the team, more of the team, more of the team. But the thing is, like like LeBron ostensibly plays point guard, and Anthony Davis is a big man, and it's just hard to do that. And I think Redick has tapped into something here, which is not unlike what the Sixers tapped into last year with Joel Embiid and what Nikola Jokic has been doing in Denver. It's put this very large human in the middle of the floor and let him go to work. And I think we saw in that first game, LeBron James, like, what do you have, 18 points, like on like 10 shots or something? And
yeah, he had. I'm looking at it right now. So LeBron James, 35 minutes, so still a bunch of minutes, but 16 points, 4 assists, 5 boards, 7 of 16 from the field, 1 of 4 from
16.
3.
So it was an inefficient night, and it didn't even matter.
Nope.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like that's not the LeBron James experience, where if he has a bad night, the team has a bad night. And the bad nights are hard to come by for LeBron James, certainly. But we'll see how it goes with him. But in terms of the Defensive Player of the Year award stuff too, I don't know. I would be taking everybody's odds other than Victor Wembanyama, and that's not to say that Victor Wembanyama is not going to win it. Like, he obviously is the favorite, but if he doesn't even admit, like, he's such an overwhelming favorite that there's not even a point in betting on him.
No,
there's no point in putting money on it. It's not a good value. And if he misses like the 65 game limit, if he turns an ankle and he's out for 2 weeks, like, that could be it. He could be disqualified from it. And then you got to start looking at the field. And among the guys in the field, Anthony Davis is as good as of a bet as anybody else. So him, Chet, Bam, like all those guys, I would be like, if you want action on Defensive Player of the Year, that's probably the place to sprinkle your money.
Yeah, plus 3,000 at BetMGM for Anthony Davis to win Defensive Player of the Year, and
that's
that's long
value.
odds. That's long odds. It's long odds, but it's good value, and like half a unit to me on something like that, depending on what your unit size is. I think that makes that's a reasonable risk to take on a long term play.
And I would argue that Anthony Davis is playing the best defense of his career right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about those odds compared to where he ranks among the league's best defenders, he's one of the best 5 defensive players in the league, and that's probably selling it short. I do think that Anthony Davis is playing the best basketball, not just defensively too. I think he's playing the best basketball of his career right now, between what he did in the Olympics and what you saw on opening night. And I just think, a lot of what we've seen in the playoffs the last couple of years, I mean, this guy is at the height of his powers. And I don't know that we discuss that enough about Anthony Davis because he is sort of the Robin to LeBron's Batman, but it's entirely possible that we're going to see the best Anthony Davis season yet. Like
And I
that's
think
totally in the
yeah.
cards.
And I would say two last things on this. Number one, has not won a Defensive Player of the Year, and I think it's a guy that you would think might just get one at some point, and he's in his prime. He's been all defensive first team 4 times. He's been defensive defensive third team 3 times, all NBA first team 4 times, 3 times block leader, 2-time NBA all second team. He was first team all defense last year, most recently. On the second part of it, I think he's the kind of guy, Wes, because he's like a defensive. He really is like a defensive first great player. I do sometimes think that kind of great player, it's harder to talk about in a way that is consumable because it's a little more nuanced. It's less flashy. It's not. It's like his great game isn't often going to result in these like amazing highlight clips you can find on Instagram or TikTok or on YouTube, right? Like he's often like positionally just like altering things in a way, and it's not full Gobert. But it's that same kind of thing where it's like how great he is sometimes can be hard to digest in a reasonable way.
And he has started ramping up the block rate too. I mean, he's getting some swats. I mean, he had this great swat
Mm-hmm.
against Gobert in that opening game. I I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say with Anthony Davis. Hold on, there was one more point. Oh,
That's right.
Anthony Davis, he does tend to string these games together too, right? Like Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is one of these guys who just has like a week where he looks like the best player in the sport. The next Lakers opponent is the Phoenix Suns. The one after that is the Sacramento Kings. Not a lot of interference for Anthony Davis to go for it. Like Plumlee and Nurkic are not necessarily going to be the best deterrent from Anthony Davis having another 30-point game. And then ditto for whatever the Sacramento Kings defense is. So I think we're looking at maybe a really strong first week from Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and I mean, if he shuts down Sabonis or something,
Oh, yeah.
it's like there's a big dub for him there, and even if he has roles in containing Kevin Durant or Devin Booker on switches and things, it's like I think there's a lot to dive into with him that is interesting. I am curious if he kills it this year. That makes for a much more fun league, and I would like to see AD at the top of his powers.